Alright, welcome back to SoFlo TV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. Watch this now. So, according to the Gleaner, Jamaica agrees to MOU terms with the US on tackling gun, drug smuggling at the ports, Tapia says. Now, y'all know who Tapia is, right? And Tapia is going out soon, and someone else will be taking that position soon. However, this is what the talk is about. They said that it took more than 4 years, but Jamaica has finally signed off on a memorandum of understanding. That is what it's called. A MOU is a memorandum of understanding. We're going to get into the details of the memorandum of understanding. Because you know, once we said Jamaica signed something with the US, and it has anything to do with tackling corruption and drug smuggling and all these things, it's a big deal. People want to know what is going on here. Are the Jamaican citizens' interests at heart, or are we going to be extradited out of the country for information that was intercepted through phone lines and all these other things? So make we talk about that a little bit. Alright, so here we go. So it took more than 4 years, but Jamaica has finally signed off on a memorandum of understanding with the United States that seeks to stamp out corruption at the ports, which has for decades facilitated the inflow of guns, drugs, and other illicit items. Now, I was under the impression that Jamaica had 2 ports. I don't know why I was being so naive, but I did go and do some research, and I found out that there are lots of ports around Jamaica. So in any event, there are lots of ways where things can go in and out undetected. Or maybe not undetected, but you know, somebody work on the inside and working with some people on the outside, and things can happen from many different directions, right? Outgoing U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, who made the disclosure, also suggested that the Andrew Holness administration had concerns about the proposed arrangements in the MOU or CMAA agreement for the gathering and sharing of intercepted communication. Listen to this. It was more so on the Jamaican side, he said, of how the information was being gathered. You hear that? It was more so on the Jamaican side of how the information was being gathered. So something tells me that somewhere in this deal, they wanted to have more jurisdiction over how, you know, the US operate already. Well, come in and be able to get you out of your place if you're out of place, if you understand what I'm saying. So one of the things we said was that we will give you all the information. This is Tapia, you know. This is Tapia, the ambassador to the US and Jamaica, talking. And he said, one of the things we said that we will give you is all the information. Any information that we have would be transparent, and that it would be forwarded to the Jamaican government, either through the court authorities, the JCF, Jamaica Constabulary Force, or the JDF, Jamaica Defense Force, police and soldier, or through the courts, he said, making reference to the police and the army. Now, despite the concerns, the American diplomat revealed that the MOU was approved by Jamaica for review by the USA government. Jamaica's Attorney General, Marlene Malahou Forte, did not respond to questions from the Gleaner about the broad details of which the Holness administration signed to, and likely the impact on the rights of Jamaican citizens. Intercepting information. The 20-page MOU has been in Washington for the past 9 weeks now, going through the various stages of approval. Now, according to Tapia, it has already cleared 2 U.S. law enforcement agencies and is now awaiting approval from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. The final stop before it returns to Jamaica for a formal signing. So in other words, it's pretty much on its last leg. It had to go through its stages in the US, pick up signatures, and then come back to Jamaica for Jamaica to add their signature to it. We hope that it will move through the ICE within the next 6 months, he said. The US Embassy in Kingston first complained last January that 4.5 years the Jamaican government has been dragging its feet on the MOU, didn't want to take any part in it, was moving very slowly towards its progression. Why would the Jamaican government want to move slowly towards the progression of help from the outside, stamping out this kind of stuff like corruption and drug smuggling through the ports and so on and so forth? Noting that there are countries that ship cargoes to Jamaica under diplomatic cover, Tapia indicated that the MOU has implications for the handling of all cargoes at the ports and how many are examined by local authorities. The sticking point there was, how do we share the information? I want to say Jamaica is very, very strong on how you share information. The US is very, very strong on how much information they give you, he said. And what we're saying is that it must be transparent bilaterally through the agreement. So in other words, I must say the US is picky about what they give you when they give out information, and Jamaica is very strong about sharing information as well. Now, for Dr. Peter Phillips, a former Minister of National Security, one of the issues that must be considered is whether any Jamaican citizen is going to be subject to court proceedings locally or overseas, arising from intercepted communication or any other evidence that is captured under the proposed MOU. So Dr. Peter Phillips is concerned about the citizens' rights. And if you ask me, we see where this can go, and we know where this is going, right? The long arm, strong arm of the US will be able to reach down into Jamaica and pull out what and who it wants to pull out pretty much at any given time, if this thing wraps up a certain way. If it wraps up a certain way. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be. No, I'm saying if it wraps up a certain way. It certainly looks like things like this could happen if the details are not ironed out. So Dr. Peter Phillips is questioning things on behalf of the Jamaican citizens. Alright? In other words, you have to get a judicial warrant to intercept someone's communication, he said. So I would expect that would be an important element that any authority in the country would want to ensure is in place, Dr. Peter Phillips said. Alright? Phillips, that means the US would not be able to just come intercept communications from a Jamaican citizen in Jamaica and then, you know what I'm saying, go through it like that. They would need to go through the proper court process proceedings in order to be able to do that. And then be able to call that credible stuff that they can use, whether it's to prosecute or to do further court proceedings on whoever it is that they deem guilty of or suspected of or etc. etc. So Phillips' tenure was marked by the secret and highly controversial MOUs he signed with the US and British law enforcement agencies without the knowledge of his cabinet colleagues at the time. And he has repeatedly defended that decision, saying that he feared the risk of unintended disclosures. For one former security operative, the proposed MOU targeting corruption at the ports was long overdue. Most modern organized crime is transitional, and any effective prosecution of these crimes is going to involve cooperation with other countries, and it's going to involve also the use of up-to-date technologies that are applied everywhere in modern law enforcement. This is what this operative said, and he spoke on a condition of please hide my ID. So I don't know how far the Jamaican government, would go without that. In other words, they're saying it's time for the Jamaican government to get on board. Okay? It's time for them to step the game up and work hand in hand with outside entities like the US to get this problem all together, because most of these big issues like the huge amount of drugs being shipped and gun running and all this, it is way bigger than just Jamaica. It's something that is transitional. It is entities working together. So if criminal entities are working together and they're so organized, they have links in Canada and Jamaica and England, then Jamaica needs to get on board and start working with Canada, Jamaica, England, these outside entities, of course to include the US, to make sure that they can clamp down better on these situations. Now, Maud Cooper says, finally, come on man, you talk too much. You worry me to death. You just talk. You become questionable. Stephen Lenty 23 says, communication are already being intercepted without judicial warrants. Let's talk the truth. Patricia says, explain the crime. Telecoms have no idea what is happening. Booker T the second says, this article is all over the place. Tapia said that the Jamaica government dragged its feet. ICE needs 6 months to read the MOU. Who is dragging their feet? Note, Tapia confirmed that America do not like to share their information, but I am sure that they are more than happy to receive Jamaica's information though. Tapia, I kindly remind you that Andrew Holness government have to be cautioned, likely to be dragged to the courts by opposition party and self-interested human rights groups. XJ4 says, the American government would love to usurp Jamaica's sovereignty. I hope leadership is smart enough, but I doubt it though. DDT says, let's see where this one goes. We do not have access to the fine prints, so we don't know the inside details of this whole MOU thing. I wonder if it is something that they would make public for us, so we can get to the fine prints like DDT says. As much as such, we cannot comment beyond what is reported to us in the media. So we can only go off of whatever is being told. We are not privy to the fine details and the inside discussions and the secrets that are there. Anthony said that we really couldn't care less about who said what to whom when it comes to saving the lives of our people. Let it be done. And I'm going to leave it right there. So leave your comments in the comment section below. Do you think that this is going to be one of those things where the US will be happy to receive all the information it can intercept or receive willingly from Jamaica, and not reciprocate, not give Jamaica and share transparently with Jamaica? You think it's going to be a one-sided relationship under this MOU thing? And do you see this developing into something further where the rights of Jamaican citizens are trampled upon and threatened as they are dragged off to other foreign countries to face charges with information that was gotten illegally, then in a sense, not court approved, used against them overseas? Talk up. I'll talk to you in the comment section below. It's SoFlo TV. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, alright? I'm out. Peace.